Hey, good morning. It's Friday, October 9th. Again, thanks so much for being here this morning. Everyday thought this morning comes from Romans 12, where we're encouraged not to conform any longer to the pattern of this world. It's a familiar passage. Let me read it, and then we'll have a couple comments. Therefore, I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Just a few thoughts. He begins with the therefore, and the therefore could refer to, and it undoubtedly does, the just immediate preceding verses of where there's this glorious praise and doxology to God at the end of chapter 11. But I also believe this therefore is saying, in light of these 11 chapters of Romans that he's written so far, in light of that, this is how you should live. Because in those 11 chapters, there's this glorious display of what God's mercy is all about. And so he says, because of that, therefore, because of this mercy, he's urging us to offer our bodies, our lives, as living sacrifices. Not just the sacrifice of the temple, but because of the sacrifice of Christ, we can now offer ourselves as sacrifices. And then there's this rather shocking statement to us. This is your spiritual act of worship. Yes, we do worship on Sunday morning. Yes, you have private worship times. But what Paul is saying here, in light of the overwhelming mercy of God, life is worship. John Calvin's commentary on Romans 12 points out this issue that life is worship. This is where I get my thoughts from everyday talk. Every day, life is worship. There's a sameness and everydayness. And that's what our worship is to be about. Worshiping God every day, every act, every thought. That's what Paul's talking about. And he says, then by doing this, we'll be transformed because I've got this worship thing down. My mind will be renewed because I'm thinking differently now. Because the world doesn't do anything but worship itself. The pattern of this world is to serve self. And Paul's saying, don't go there anymore. Don't put God in a category. Don't put worship in a category or in a box that you go to when you have a time of trouble. Be involved in worship 24/7. And then there is this ending thought that you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Yes, this has something of being able to study and test and approve, but I think what Paul is really saying here is that if I have this attitude that my life is one of a living sacrifice, an act of worship to God, and my mind is going to be transformed by this reality, then I will be able to know and trust God. I believe that Paul is referencing the thought that is given to us in Psalm 34. Taste and see how good Yahweh is. Test and approve, find out for yourself. Don't be conformed, be transformed. And test God, taste him, experience the joy of living not for yourself, but for him. For making life as worship. Offering your body to God as an act of worship every minute of every day. And as you do that, you will taste him, experience the joy of what it means to walk in the blessed wonder of the will of God as opposed to our own. And that's the thought for today. Again, thanks so much for being here. Lord bless you. And by his will, we'll talk again tonight. You have a great day. Bye-bye.